Welcome back to the Berg Podcast. With me today is Dan
Hey, everybody.
and Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
And just doing a little catch-up episode. Just taking a few minutes to chat while recording. instead of just like standing outside my office here and chatting while we're sitting around the table. We turn the microphones on and chat.
We're going to do it for about 15 to 30 minutes, I've been told by Brian.
Yeah, roughly 15 to 30 minutes. No longer than an average commute, please. And
I'll keep that in mind as I derail us.
yeah, please. Okay. We talked last week about these like 2.5 hour episodes podcasts, and I just don't have the tolerance for it. I don't drive far enough to listen to a 2.5 hour podcast. You know,
We should move the office further.
well, that could be arranged. I guess I could. Yeah.
I don't think the office moves. I think he's.
Brian's got to move. All right. All
I
right.
guess I could figure out somewhere 2.5 hours away to live.
Somewhere warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for us, this has been like catching up. This is like a busy season for bidding right now. We're like bombarded
Mm-hmm.
with bids one after another of good opportunities we'd like to look at, but there's only so much time. There's only so much bandwidth, so to speak. There's only so much time that we can bid. And I mean, right now, Dylan and Scott and I are just, we just have one project after another. The other day I had said to Brian, he walked in my office and I said, this is like perfect except like a nightmare. I was like, there's 3 sets of prints on my desk that I'm trying to work on all at once, which is, multitasking is not a real thing.
Sunshine would be very disappointed.
He'd be very disappointed.
Sunshine. Mhm.
Well, he would love, his like junior protege over there. I can't even say that. He'd probably be angry too. But Dylan Reese is, he learned from Sunshine. So Dylan is very focused, but if you look in the corner of his office, there's notes written about it, but it's all digital. So you can't actually see that he's doing that many things at once. But yeah, Dylan's a great example right now. He's got a lot of bids in front of him that he's working on. And, it's a tricky thing trying to get the right workload to the backlog and with work that we want to do, so we've started to have a good little run here. We won a couple landfill jobs that I was bidding. Scott's been doing successful work. Dylan's working through. Commercial's always just a process. Like, I feel like he has to win like 5 times before he gets an actual job, like you got to win. And then they're like, okay, we're really glad you won. We're now rebidding because those plans weren't any good. Now we're just going to bid this, but we're going to narrow it down. It's like some sort of a March Madness is kind of what it's like. We had like 52 bidders.
An elimination tournament.
Yeah, there's 64 bidders, and the plans are terrible. You're just guessing. And then you make it to 32, and by the time you make it to like the Elite 8, now you're really in the bidding.
You're close.
You could actually theoretically bid the prints with not too many change orders.
Yeah, you may actually do this work.
You might actually do the work, and then you win the championship, and then actually you might actually do the work because now they still need permits.
The job might not even go.
It
might not even
not actually happen.
Yeah, so which
Not only that, but we're seeing like the timelines we're getting in, like 2-week turnarounds on projects that have a lot of intricacies. We're not talking about like, go out and flatten something. We're talking a lot of intricacies, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, by, today's what, sometime like in 2 weeks from now, it's like, what? Like, you got to get sub numbers, you got to get material numbers. Like, it's a,
Sure.
And those are the ones, if you know that's going to be a 5-time turnaround, you're like, all right, like, okay, it's going to be rebid again. It's going to, I know that they put a lot of time and effort into a township park project, and bids came in, and there was a low bidder that was, significantly
50%,
low.
yeah.
And they threw the whole thing out again. They just, either they still didn't have the budget they were expecting, or who knows what happened, but it's like, a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into doing all this, and just to like, throw them all in the garbage is a tough thing. I mean, it's the owner's right, but it's a tough thing to swallow.
Yeah. And it's hard because like, when all these bids come out in the spring, a lot of these folks are anticipating that this work's going to get done at the same time, right? So like managing the schedule and the backlog, having year-round work. I mean, it's difficult to balance all of those things.
Yeah, it's a process for sure.
Yeah. Well, that, and then there's the, we were joking the other day. It's like, I thought it was April showers bring May flowers. And then like the last couple of weeks, we've been getting a little bit of extra moisture in here. And so,
Well, the last couple of weeks were April.
It was April 4th.
Wait a second.
We just
not
didn't want
this
it to
last
rain.
week that we like it rained every day.
Yeah.
It was supposed to have stopped, April
right.
30th, it's
Okay.
done. And then
It's a
you get
hard deadline.
Yes.
See, I think if you really want to call out the weather failure, it said it was like 70 degrees in February.
Yes.
And so we all thought, so this should be summer by my account because we
Right.
had spring in February. January, February was spring, March, April, you start to get, that should have been like the April, May. I should be in June, July right now by my account. My body thinks it should be like 75 to 85 degrees and sunny. I'm sitting in like June. We're at soccer games and I'm freezing and it's like 60 degrees. It's the appropriate temperature.
Yeah. Cool.
But I'm used to, the weather's just been a mess. I would, wherever this is their climate, I don't want to live there. Like if I can just go back, I'm going to get winter and then spring and summer. I'd be plenty happy. I know Allie would probably opt for just summer.
Just summer would
Yeah,
be her
yeah.
preference. Yeah. We could have just summer.
Well, and then like the other week, it was something like, I forget, it was like a Thursday and Friday. And Thursday, it was like 82 degrees. And then Friday, we had to be outside and it was like 50 and windy. And so you're like, yes, I should check my phone in the morning, but usually you kind of go off the day before. You're like, all right, this is going to be. Went outside, wasn't appropriately dressed. And like the entire day, I just had like the chills. Like it was like crazy how one day made a 30-degree difference.
Well, especially in like what's tough for me is when the sun's out, right? So over the weekend, sun was out and woke up. I was like, oh, it's sunny and it's in, early May here. And I don't know, it was like, 48 degrees outside. So I walk out in like shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like, nope, that's still not appropriate for the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were saw people like driving down the road and they were like doing their lawn work. They were cleaning their boats. They were getting ready. It's like it is still the first weekend in May here. It's still Cinco de Mayo. It's still the Kentucky Derby. It's not quite there, but you get those couple days, everybody's just itching and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what else do you have going on, Ford? Anything interesting in Ford's world here?
No, I put together like 42 chairs the other day and literally got calluses from putting, it's amazing that somehow, we always talked about like skid loaders. They all have this universal attachment now, so you can change out attachments and buckets. But somehow all the manufacturers from wherever they make things all have one type of tightening device now.
Yeah.
One only. It's one Allen wrench. I don't know what size it is, but
it's it's a non-conforming Allen wrench.
Yeah.
You have to have that thing that came in the box or you'll never tighten the chair again.
So it's crazy you bring this up because my monitors were syncing the other day. I forget what happened. And I was like, Brian, do you have your Allen keys in Brian's little tool bag that he's got in his bag? He's like, yeah. And I pull them out and he had his Allen key set, but then he had like 12 of just the same size Allen key. And I was like, you know what? I'll bet you this is from Brian building all the desks.
Right.
And it was. And it's that one thing. And I said to him, I'm just going to hold on to this because this will work on everything that's been built like since the year 2000. This is how it was built. Yeah. I also love when if you're lucky enough to have something that still has a Phillips head screw, I don't know where they get the metal from that they make screws out of when you buy things that have to be put together.
Yeah.
But it's slightly sturdier than styrofoam.
It's more like tinfoil.
Yeah, it's like kind of like because I said to Ford, I was like, well, you realize you could just put an Allen key into your screw gun, and then you could put this together way faster. And he's like, that's going to strip that out. And I'm like, well, if you set it to the easiest setting, then it just barely tightens. Then you can tighten it with the Allen key they gave you. And I was like, this is crazy. Snug it up. Which is why Ford and I think Brian takes the same stance. Like, I'm a firm believer that if someone buys furniture, it should come pre-assembled. I'm not a cabinet maker.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree. It's just, it's difficult to like transportation of
a full put together thing is a challenge.
Is challenging, right?
Yeah, but I would still just take that because my personality. This thing, I'm going to have extra parts.
I'm just so cheap. I don't know. I don't want to pay someone to deliver it. Like, I don't know. I just can't get over it. I can't get over it.
I just have Brian delivered is what I do. You just ask Brian about something. He just feels, his empathy kicks in and he just feels obligated. And he goes like 3 steps beyond what you asked him for. I was asking him this morning about his paint sprayer for my deck because I'm going to have to sand my deck and then paint it. And I'm too cheap to pay someone to do that. Yeah. And Brian, like, I think that with a couple questions and maybe like the offer of like a sandwich and a beverage, Brian probably would just come paint my deck for me. I would help, like air quotes, help.
Right.
But I would be of no help at all. I mean, I could be the sanding, but you don't want me painting. We'd have to reside my house if I painted.
Yeah.
Well, it is a detail thing, and it's funny because I think this all came about, if we think back like 10, 15 years, IKEA was like the first that kind of created things that weren't made.
Right.
But they were engineers behind the scenes, and so they had 82 different parts, and everyone had a different length. And if you didn't put it together the correct way, it was still laying on the floor in 20 pieces by the next day. And so they were like, we're going to simplify this. We're going to do it one way for everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's wonderful, except for when you go to tighten down one of these hex heads and it spins out just because you tried to tighten it down. And you're like, well, hopefully that's the right tightness because I can't get it back out of there.
Yeah. I love things that, like these like DIY projects that come with torque specs. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm gonna torque, to the right foot pounds.
Yeah,
the heads of a desk that I'm putting in my daughter's room or something. I'm like, this is.
We had a waffle iron that Erin, it burned up. It was like the fuse blew on it.
Yeah,
and Erin wanted it. She's like, we'll just fix it. And Erin's a millennial, so she's going to YouTube everything.
Well,
so she took it apart, and it was. I assumed it was. She once took a vacuum apart and somehow fixed it and put it all back together again, like an entire vacuum. It had like 1 million parts. She had them all labeled. It looked like NASA, right? And so I was like, she's been asking me to do this. I'll put this back together. I've had the fuse for 3 months and I haven't put it back together. So I put it back together, and I got to the end and there was extra parts.
Oh no.
And a bearing fell out of somewhere from the pivot thing. And I was like, I don't know where that came from. I mean, I know what it does, but I have no idea where that came from. Yeah. And she was like, well, you didn't put them in the right places. I was like, well, your drawings tell me where to put them. I put it where it said. She said, that's where you told me they came from when you disassembled the whole thing. You took it all apart. And there was all these parts and you said this is where it went. And I was like, oh.
She was following her notes of a version of a thing you told her.
Right. I said, if I had realized this was your notes about my drawing, I would have just dumped out all the bags and said, like, this screw looks like it should go here. And just like, I still would have ended up with extra parts. Yeah. And then she said, well, can we use it? I said, well, I'd say like, yes, but probably not in the house. Like, cause I mean, I know that it heats. I checked it. It does heat and it didn't smoke, but I don't feel safe enough about it that I want it in the house. So like if you want to make waffles, like in the driveway or off the back deck, that'd be a great spot. In the kitchen, I wouldn't do it. I hope the GFI works because that thing is definitely going to trip something.
I'm a little bit the same way. I like little projects. And but lately, like I've just been so consumed. My time has been very difficult, with coaching and everything else we have going on in life. So we had our dryer stopped heating. It was working, it was spinning, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be a heating element. I did all the normal stuff. I take it apart and make sure that the lint's not blocking the vent and all that stuff. And I'm like, it's a heat exchange. It's got to be. And like part of me, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna Google this model and go into the allparts.com or whatever website and order the heat exchange. And 5 to 7 days, it'll show up on my house and hopefully it's the right part. I'll tear this thing apart. And I was like, I just got to call somebody. Just have to have someone come. And then I'm like, oh man, $350. I probably could have fixed that for $100, right? But I also got it done in 2 days and didn't have to wonder about which parts were leftovers and whether my house was going to catch on fire.
Got you coming or going, right? It's like, on one side or the other. I still remember when you said about dryers. I was probably like 10 or 12 and we had one at home.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working right.
Did you not have one before 10 or 12? Or are you just telling us?
I mean, we used to have like the thing out of the
drying
back,
rack,
drying rack that you roll.
The clothesline.
Clothesline.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to put the stuff on the clothesline.
There you go. Thank you, Ford.
Yeah. And all of our clothes smelled like a nice cherry wood because the smoke from the outdoor furnace would help dry.
This is lovely.
Yes. My wife says we had a unique cologne on all of our clothes because it smelled like firewood. But I remember it didn't work. And so we're like, all right, we're going to throw it away. And we went out and we were starting to like demo it. After he got the new one, Dad got the new one. And we found, as we ripped it apart, there was one wire that was off. So we just wrecked this whole thing.
Over one bad connection. Yeah.
Well, we've had that. And we had the other thing where like they come out and the technicians are really empowered to try and upsell things.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, this thing, it's gone. It's got to go. And you're like, what? And like you said, you go online, it's like a $12 part that, I mean, you might have to ship it from somewhere that you're unclear when it'll get to you, but it's like, they just wanted like a $500 item. They wanted to wreck for like a $12 part.
I know.
Yeah.
My dad's so good at fixing things too. So I think that's where part of me is like just very envious that my dad is one of those guys that can fix anything. And, but my mom does complain about it all the time. She's like, yeah, he could fix anything. it might take like 60 days until my dryer works again, but he could fix it. And so part of me is a little envious. I'm like, oh, I could fix that. I could just tear it apart and fix it. In my
Yeah, I just don't have the patience.
And Allison's like, should I call your dad? I'm like, dang it.
Oh, that would hurt.
Yeah. I think I said it before. My wife has a rule. It's like a 7-day rule. If it's not done within like the 7 days, then I automatically authorized a service person because it's like, oh yeah, I'll get around to doing that.
Default.
Yeah, exactly. My dad fixed stuff too, but you also, if you go to the farm, you will find a trail of things that haven't been put back together yet because they're still.
Well, he just took other things apart to fix the other thing.
And,
yes.
And Tom is like my favorite, but the other thing is Tom would fix it and it would be fixed and it would be operational, but it might not look like it originally did.
Oh,
it could be altered in a way to make it currently work. I'm having the same thing right now. I think we talked about this, the like little fridge that came with my house when I bought it, the beverage fridge went.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's the condenser that went. And so I bought the condenser. It's being shipped from somewhere in China, and it should be here, between, April and August.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I've been charged, so I know that I paid for it. And then we have to replace that because same thing. I looked at it and it was like, I'm not buying a new fridge when it's just, the whole fridge is fine. The only thing wrong with it is that condenser.
Yeah, everything else still works.
Yeah. So that's the best dryer story for what I have. I don't know if I ever talked about this story on the podcast. Was my sister and I had 3 siblings. We all would, get after each other a little bit. And I was the oldest. So I was like the pecking order started with me. And I don't remember what she did, but she said something and was like running her mouth. And she was always one that Rachel would like talk back at you. She was not afraid even in a bad situation to run her mouth. And so she said something. And I said, if you don't stop talking, we were in the laundry room growing up. I was like, I'm going to put you in the dryer. And she was like, you would not, I wouldn't fit in that dryer. And well, I'm here to tell you, she did fit in the dryer. And this is how New Jersey my sister is. She was in the dryer with the door closed. And she said, you wouldn't turn it on. I said, it was one of those push button ones and the old ones. I turned that thing, hit start. That thing spun about a quarter of a turn before it completely exploded. Like the belt blew off of it. If I could explain to you how unhappy my mom was, and that message was quickly delivered to my dad about how unhappy he was, and trying to explain my way out of why I would have put my sister in the dryer and turned it on. But I felt really justified with my explanation. And it was very similar to what I just said. And my dad did not feel that was justified. Yeah. He thought it was one of the craziest things he had ever heard, that someone would put someone in a dryer and turn it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It won't work, by the way. The belt drive the direct drive might work. The modern dryers, she might have been in trouble with the direct drive. It might have spun.
No, it won't. The new ones, like literally, if you put the clothes in not exactly level, the thing won't even turn on with clothes in
it's
it.
unbalanced.
Yeah.
It doesn't spin.
Yeah, well, then maybe it wouldn't work at all. I don't know.
Probably a safety hazard because someone did it once. And
thank God it wasn't top load like that. I don't know. That would have hurt if I dropped it on top load.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're all over the place here, but Child
That's
Protective Services could be after me for that one.
But yeah, DIY projects, bidding,
DIY projects, some chair building, IKEA,
IKEA,
and abuse of your younger siblings. So you're both the oldest, so I know there must be stories of you picking on people, but I'll let it go.
I don't know. I feel like
we grew up in Pennsylvania. It's just done differently out here.
Done differently out here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Much more subtle. We don't have quite as strong of stories.
We just all got along.
Kumbaya.
Yeah,
right.
Another good story in my sister one here is not at all on topic, but is I forget what she had done, and I said your husband, you know what it's going to look like? And I took soap drew on her door, like those old wooden, not solid wood, but like the cheap wood doors that they had in houses built in like the late 70s, early 80s. And I took soap and drew the outline of a man running, and my dad couldn't get it off the door because you couldn't sand the doors and you couldn't paint, like they weren't going to paint that door. So I think even when they sold the house, it was still like the rough outline,
still an outline
of a man running away.
Yeah, that's funny.
So that was going to be your husband. He was going to be like, I can't deal with this.
Just running.
Just run.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
My sister's a sweetheart, by the way. She's like the best version of the three of us, like dealing with my brothers and my sister. You'd want to deal with my sister.
Yeah.
All that experience got her to be a good teacher. Because,
yeah, she's a good teacher.
She grew up through all of that.
She knew how to tolerate it.
Yeah. She's very tolerant. That's true. Yeah. So what else? We got anything else, Brian? You got anything? Brian's got sports over here going on.
Sports. We're about to tear up our backyard again.
Oh,
so
you gonna fix the sinkhole?
No sinkhole yet. Yeah, but that I don't know. Like dealing with the borough is always a exciting time, right? they're not sure when it's going to start, but on Friday I got an email that said like, oh, maybe Monday. So I'd like text the contractor who I happen to know, and I'm like, you starting on Monday? He's like, I don't have a grading sheet yet. So I don't know.
How close did they get into the house?
They're going to get within like, I don't know, 8 feet of my deck, which is kind of annoying, because they're trying to taper the slope, just because they can't create what was supposed to have originally been there in this basin. And so because they can't create what was supposed to have originally been there, they're going to try and get as close as possible without taking my deck off or tearing my neighbor's sunroof off.
Would you let them do it if they replaced your deck with a dock?
The dock, yeah. And well,
it'd have to be a really long dock.
Yeah, and I'd want there to be water there constantly, right? So that doesn't. Yeah.
Hey, all of a sudden you get like the boathouse?
Ooh, waterfront.
The value goes up.
Waterfront property.
Waterfront property.
On ski in, ski out.
Yeah, we had one of the projects we're working on right now is Devon. We're just about finished up there, and it just made me think about it when you said about these plans. So I was down there on Friday, and the turf goes down, and it's just construction is always changing. It's never exactly what it's supposed to be, and the panel layout for the liner for the AstroTurf had no real correlation to the actual field we built. Like they drew it on a different field in essence. Like we had our civil plans, we built exactly what was supposed to be there. Field didn't match up. But I thought about that as something happened right now. But Ford, do you remember the project we looked at, and it was a cleanup job? And I don't know if you were with me or not. I think I might have just called you about it, but they laid out the work. And it had like roughly drawn on it where like the outline of what would be a house, right? Like the grading pattern for a house. And I was standing there looking at it, and I realized their grading went into the people's houses.
Oh, jeez.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like those decks were coming off. Like those, I wouldn't have to take your house. To do the job, I'd have to take the house down.
Right.
But it was like, they told them there'd be like no real inconvenience to the people, and the grading was into the middle of their house.
And they were taking decks off.
They were taking decks off.
That was like a 12-row subdivision that all the houses had the same issue to them.
Yeah, they were all built.
And I remember the contract language was like, if you kept finding issues, you could just keep going. Like it was one of those, like they're just going to exploratory,
so
excavation.
You could end up in their houses.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hey, here was your house. Nah, not so much.
Not so much.
So you don't have to feel that bad, Brian. Just your.
Yeah. No, thankfully they're not taking off my deck or my neighbor's sunroom or anything like that. So yeah, but it's frustrating nonetheless.
I know that in local township here, they're having a lot of that challenge with, there's a subdivision that was built and there's like access through like almost between every house. There's some kind of like an easement there.
Right.
But it's just a paper easement, like nothing's happening. So people are building outdoor living spaces there. They're putting garages there.
And
all this kind of stuff. And then the township comes in and goes, oh, nope, you got to rip that out. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's like my yard. And it's like, well, actually, you own it and pay taxes on it, but there's this easement thing here.
You can't actually use it.
Yeah, exactly. You can just look at it and mow it. And it's been like I think literally
like garages, though, they had to have a permit for that, right? Hopefully.
Well, I'm talking like the Amish shed type garages, like that.
All
just they show up on a Friday and within 2 hours it's in your backyard type thing.
I gotcha. Okay.
But,
yeah. So because when we built our deck, right? So we had permit and drawings and all that stuff. And apparently, it wasn't a problem when we built it, but it's because I don't know that they actually knew what was supposed to be there. So figuring it out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Construction engineering. That's how it goes.
That is how it goes.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the joys of purchasing a home that has a basin, right? Like when they sell it to you, they're all. It's like, oh, look at all this extra yard space you get, and I'm like, oh, that's great. That's extra yard space. My kids will play out there. No, yeah.
You had the biggest lot in the neighborhood. Okay, cool. Yeah.
And they describe maintenance as like mowing, right? Like, you just have to maintain it, air quotes. You just have to keep it mowed. And they don't tell you that you have to desilt it too. Yeah.
There's another subdivision out this way that I know of, and I remember the homeowner. He was so happy because he had the biggest lot in the subdivision, had all this extra space, and didn't pay extra for it. And he was at the bottom of the hill of the subdivision, like big hill. And a huge basin, but he's like, oh, we're going to put four-wheelers, all this stuff in through there. and he ended up having to sell the house because the remediation to the basin was going to be that bad that basically he just like
smokes.
walked away.
He couldn't do it.
Now, and it was like, fine print. Because I know now a lot of places they won't let you either. It has to be an HOA that owns it or something. They won't put it on
Right.
an individual
well,
homeowner.
Our home was built a long time ago, so none of that existed. But yeah, I know a lot of places that maintenance is kind of built into the ownership costs, and they got a schedule, right? They're going to come out and they're going to desilt it every couple of years or whatever.
Yeah, the MS4 for the stormwater things that came across,
yeah.
that's driven people to actually have to maintain certain things that before was kind of like just forgotten about.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, not so much at my place.
All right. Well, I don't know. Do we got anything else we got to talk about? Or do we?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. You guys start reading that book yet?
I did see a book on my desk.
Oh, book club's happening again. I didn't tell you.
I assumed.
Oh, yeah,
I just didn't know who had
yeah.
gifted me the book. It was a physical book, so I assumed it was Ford.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I do appreciate because
Yeah.
I will highlight and like fold some pages.
Yeah.
When I read the book, Ford, if he didn't, he already read it. But if he didn't, Ford would probably be done the book by lunchtime.
That's why I'm like casually just trying to see how far behind I am. Yeah.
Ford, how far behind are we?
It has not left the desk yet. I got it on Friday, and I did not take
All
it.
right.
With me,
All
so
right.
we're
That's
good.
fair. Okay,
right.
good.
Yeah.
I was listening to a different podcast recently, and they were talking about monotasking. I think Dan, were you and I talking about this? Yeah, monotasking, right? Like doing one thing intentionally. So the idea that like multitasking has become so ingrained in who we're supposed to be able to do all kinds of different things at the same time, and what's happened is we become so distracted we can't do anything. Well, not everybody, but some people, and so they talked about like how to break the cycle of trying to multitask, and it's by monotasking, by intentionally only doing one thing. And it could be, it could be anything. It could be like, let's say it's reading, right? If you're going to read, you're going to monotask. You're just going to read. Then for like 15, 30 minutes, whatever it might be, like you turn the phone off. You only read a paper book so that you can just flip the pages. The only thing you have there is the book. Maybe you find somewhere quiet that you can't be distracted, et cetera. And like just doing things intentionally. And they were going so far as to say like, we've been so conditioned to try and do multiple things at the same time that the amount of time that you can like actually when you start this to try and focus it, it's like 7 minutes or something. I'm like, come on, I could do one thing for longer than 7 minutes. I haven't actually tried. I've thought about it. I just don't get that far.
7 minutes.
Do you think I saw, you, for I think it was a big event in your life, but you got a watch.
Yes.
And it's not a smartwatch.
Yes.
Has that helped you focus a little bit more? I noticed it because I have a smartwatch and a not smartwatch. And when I'm wearing the smartwatch, it's amazing how many times I'll
for sure. Absolutely. So that was intentional. I thought my watch was being too distracting because I would get texts and notifications and everything else. And I actually let it go a little too far, probably, potentially, debatable, but where like I started leaving my phone places, not realizing it, because I had at one point relied a little bit on that smartwatch connection. So I was like, my watch will tell me if someone's calling or whatever. And it was actually kind of nice. I did have an incident where I missed a pretty important phone call that has kind of made me go backwards a little bit. And like now I can't leave my cell phone anywhere. But the watch was a big step towards that for me personally.
Do you know what I realized as we were just talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
The monotasking thing is my favorite things to do are monotasking.
Yeah.
Like given my choice. I mean, I love sports.
In old worlds, just focusing on something.
Just focusing on something. But is like it's two things. My two favorite things to do by far are to ski and surf.
Oh, yeah.
And neither of those can you or should you multitask. Usually you end up in a bad way if you do, because it requires too much focus. You get hurt.
Right.
And we're not talking about just like floating in the ocean, and you can do that. But I'm saying if you're actually trying to surf or you're like really skiing, you have to focus. And I just thought about that as you were talking, that the things that I actually enjoy to do the most usually when I'm doing them, like I can't be doing something else, or else something could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that.
Well, yeah, that's true. Would you say that you often get to do those things by yourself?
So skiing, I'm just now at the point where the girls could ski with me, but before that, people
it was
wouldn't
usually
ski.
by
It was by myself.
Okay.
Yeah, people
Well,
wouldn't
that's
ski.
good.
I would ski like a very short portion of a trail with someone, and then head into the woods, and no one would follow me.
Right.
And then I'd meet them at the bottom.
Yeah.
Or I'd just be in a race to go down as fast as I could, and then competition, but just
I think that's part of it too. Like a lot of times, there's
mowing my grass.
Yeah, mowing your grass. That's not a bad one. I just feel like
non-competitive good example.
Yeah, mowing grass. I'm usually just like trying to do it so quickly because I'm squeezing it in between things. But mowing grass is a good one. Do you listen to music when you mow your grass?
Sometimes podcasts, but it's literally like I don't get off of it because it's too loud. I can't take a phone call usually or whatever it is. But there's just certain things, and it's actually funny though because like also it depends on your relationship. But my wife is a multitasker extraordinaire, and like I'll be doing one thing, and she's like, well, "Why don't you do this too?" And I was like, "Well, I was just doing this thing. I was going to finish this thing and then go do the next thing, but I was supposed to have been done."
Yeah.
And so it's interesting too how different people like So when there's a difference in those, sometimes there's a interesting conversations that happen
Erin's
because you're not
very one thing at a time.
Okay.
Get something done. She's very focused.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it does vary from person to person, but this podcast was suggesting that if you're struggling with it, so not everyone struggles with this, but if you're struggling, they say like you shouldn't even listen to music when you're mowing, or like don't listen to music while you're working because like it can create an environment where you're not focusing potentially. So
I think we talked about it before, but my one nephew, like he was studying for something, had his earbuds in, had the TV on, and something else was going on around him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that's how I focus." Like he was trying to almost put white noise. Like he was just
create white noise.
Yeah, create just that much going on. Where I'm like, if I actually had to do something, I'd like close the door, and it's how, But then it's the same time, like I can't watch a sporting event for the whole thing without at least doing something else in it. Like the old days, like I'm gonna sit down and watch a Phillies game for 3 hours, and now it's like 20 minutes in, it's like changing the channel, doing some other things. Because like we were joking about, I'm just about at the age where I think my grandparents, you still had to go up to the TV and actually change the channel thing, where now you click or you can watch the last 3 things you watch. But like, so you basically left it on whatever was up there because you were not getting up every time to, oh, it's commercial break. Let me go up and find something else on there. So it's really a different time where those things are just hitting you left and right.
That's funny. You call it a clicker. I call it a remote, but but Gavin calls it a clicker. And he's like, my friends at school have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, where's the clicker? And they're like, what is that even? What does it even mean? Right? Yeah. I'm curious if that's where that
be a
comes
local
from.
Lancaster, another Lancaster County thing.
I guess.
Yeah, but you grew up in the same neighborhood, so
I've been here for most of my adult life.
I don't know.
So yeah. I don't know. When you said that, though, it just made me think.
You know what happened? I was going to say first is I can see both sides of this because on one hand, I do like to, like if I'm working on a bid and I really got to focus, I close the door, but then I put on music. But the music, I'm not actually listening to it. I'm trying to make it that I don't hear, it's white noise. I'm just putting it on so that it just is there, and then I'll just focus on what I'm doing. But the other thing is I always remember when we go to Maine, even as a kid, that I would almost get a headache when we got there. Like the noise of quiet would bother me.
Okay.
Like the quiet was too loud, if that makes any sense at all.
No, I've heard you say that before. When
it was so quiet.
Like, it takes you a little time to get used to.
It. So it's one of those things we are so used to noise in every sense.
Yeah. Does Tamara say clicker?
We have to find out.
I'm trying to think. Is this something he got from Allison? Is it a Pittsburgh
Guys, if you're out there listening to the
I don't
podcast,
know.
if you can get back to Tracy, if you grew up in this area, do you call
clicker?
it a remote or clicker? And then Tracy can track it for us and get us some results.
We need
we'll get back to
some statistical analysis here. Yeah.
Mara's big on words that I say that sound like I'm from Jersey. And for the most part, we all sound the same.
Yeah.
But there are some words that I definitely say stronger New Jersey wise, water being one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I say it, she'll say it's water or whatever. However you appropriately say the word water, I can't even say it right. And we went to a soccer game, and one of the dads had on his shirt that said the word is water, and it was water written out.
Okay.
And Tamara was running down the sideline. I was like, check out Mr. Harmer's shirt. She just shook her head. She was like, it's water. However you say.
I think it's a Delco shirt, isn't it? With WOOR, whatever it is. It's like
yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
But
all right, we've reached the commuting limit.
Yeah.
So this is
someone's got to get out of the car and do something.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, folks. We hope that you got something from this and that you'll come back again for another podcast.